Here comes the 7 horse now making an outside move and the 2 coming up on the rail. But right now, the 1.
Oh my God, that 1.
He's opening up, and does anybody have that 1 on the board? We have. Alan Levitt is on the 1.
Oh my God, Alan Levitt.
He's hanging on. Here comes, they're charging late. It's the 8 horse and the 11 and the 1. He's going to do it. Alan Levitt hits a capper.
He's going to win the thing.
He might win it on the cap horse. Let's see. He's what does he need to pass?
He just got it.
He's gonna win it.
Alan Levitt, yes.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Flo-Cal Faceoff. My name is Bill Downs, normally a track announcer, but for this weekend, I am host of this webcast and joined by 15-time qualifier, Mr. Chris Larmey. Chris, how are you?
Great. I'm really excited, and we've got a tight leaderboard, lots of money on the line. We had some fun yesterday, but today is when it's all settled, and $500,000 worth of prize money gets doled out to the players, including $180,000 to the winner. And in 3 races, we'll know who that is.
Yeah, the last race at Santa Anita that just went off, race number 6, we finally had a little bit of a price horse. The 3-horse Del Mar Drama for trainer Eric Kruljack, and Edward Enborg rocketed up the leaderboard, having that horse is now in 3rd place and is within striking range of the leaders, Giuseppe Petrella at $217.10 and Albion Benton at $202, and just 3 races left to go in this Flo-Cal Faceoff, the first of 3 big online tournaments this year for HorseTourneys.com.
Yeah, and there are, it's a top-heavy prize pool. It starts with $180,000 and works down from there. So it'll be, and there's also day money of $12,500 to the winner on the day, and we'll look at that leaderboard as well. I think that we've got it up right now, and that will come into play a little bit in these last 3 races, because we will be seeing, are the players that are in line for day money, are they going to try to win that day money, or are they going to be, going for the big $180,000? It'll be real interesting to see. It gets very tactical in these last few races, and we have relatively small fields, so there's not as many options for the players, and they're going to have to sort of decide, are they happy to move up a few spots in the leaderboard, or are they taking a shot to win it all? One thing about that last race, that 6-to-1 price doesn't seem big, but on the day it is big relative to most of the prices. And it was surprising in that small field that there were so few players near the top of the leaderboard that went with that horse. So it'll be interesting to see, what they do going forward.
Yeah, it's been a day of basically no bombs, no cap horses at all. And just looking at my sheet here, there's only been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 horses at 4-1 or higher in the win spot. I mean, there's been a couple long shots underneath that paid pretty well, but it just shows you that today is really not the day that you want to be stuck in 200th place. Even if you have a great day, you'll cash potentially, but in terms of trying to catch the leaders, it's going to make it really difficult unless we get a surprise or two here in the last 3 races.
Yeah, and you can see on the day, the leaderboard for the day, there's only a few people over $100, which is not a big score given this many races. Edward Enborg, who made the big move into third on the overall leaderboard, he's in second at $108 on that, and Terry Zerg is on top with 120. So you're right, the prices have not been aplenty so far. It makes it tough. And it means picking winners is that much more important, and it probably isn't going to change in these last 3 races. Not a lot of prices will be up there in the small fields. It's going to come back. It's going to come down to see who can, pick some winners in these last few races.
Yeah, so Terry's got the lead in the day 2 leaderboard at $120.20. Edward's second, Edward Enborg at $108, and Brett's third at $103. All top 4 players on the day 2 leaderboard, they all use Del Mar Drama in that last race at Santa Anita. Like I said, we got 3 more races to go. We got a turf sprint in race number 7, allowance optional claiming race number 8. Calbreds, fillies, and mares are sprinting on the dirt. And then the last race of the contest will be a turf event, a starter allowance race going 1 mile on the turf. And so even though not the biggest field size to end a contest, I still think it's competitive. I still think we got 3 pretty good betting races here. As you can see, Giuseppe Petrella on the lead with $217.10, and Albion Benton is second, and Edward Enborg is third, and Steve Arison, who had the day 1 lead, he is in 4th place with $188.40. So we've got about 16 minutes to race number 7 from Santa Anita. Just an early look at the odds. The 2 horse is 8-5, Rock the Bells, and 9-5 on the 5 horse, Virulent. We'll talk about that race coming up. But first, we have an interview with the day 1 winner of the Flo-Cal Faceoff, Steve Arison. We are here with the day 1 winner of the Flo-Cal Faceoff, Steve Arison. Steve, you won $12,500. First off, congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
What were your expectations going into day 1? Did you have grander dreams of leading after the first day, or what was?
I would have been happy at top 50, top 20, even better, but. I just hope to stay in contention. You
told me before we started recording that you qualified for this tournament. Tell me about that. How much do you remember? How much it was, and what type of qualifier it was on HorseTourneys?
Yeah, it was actually. I played a number of just $28 feeders on HorseTourneys back in November, and probably played a handful of those, and then won into the extra level and. Mm-hmm. I think it was about the middle of December or so. I won my way in.
Awesome. So this could be one of those steps. So you had to win 2 qualifiers or finish whatever you had to do.
Yeah. That's normally what I do is I play the feeders into the qualifiers and then the qualifiers.
Before I let Chris in, I want to ask you about Mom's Moon. That's the big price, the cap horse at Gulfstream, the last race. The 12 horse, Mom's Moon, was higher than $42, but there was a cap horse, 20-1 and 10-1. What was your reasoning behind picking Mom's Moon in that 11th race at Gulfstream?
Actually, I was surprised at the 40-1. I think of more like 15, 20, 25-1, especially at Gulfstream. That first turn comes up fast and breaking from the outside.
Yep.
It's not easy to get over that fast. I watched the replay of the last race at Turfway Park. He did take some money in that race, came back with 2 nice workouts on the turf. I really thought with the jockey switch, they were going to go to the front. There wasn't a lot of speed to the inside. Once he cleared, I thought he had a good shot.
Chris?
Yeah, well, that was definitely a great pick. And you had to have that one one to be, in contention at the end of the day.
Right.
It sounded like you said you put all your plays in advance and kind of stuck with them through the entire day. Is that right?
Yeah, I work on the Saturdays, and I was up to late hours last night handicapping, and I had all my plays in and checked for scratches on my lunch hour. Didn't get a chance to watch a race until I got home, and it was about 15 minutes before the Gulfstream race 11 I got to watch.
So you're leading with 2 races to go, and that $12,500 on the line. Were you tempted to make any changes to your picks, or were you decided I'm going to stick with it, or were you tempted to make a change there near the end?
You're always tempted to change your pick, but I've learned stick with what got you there. And it's only day one. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and tomorrow's going to be a long day too. And if I finish first, great. If it was second, third, as long as I was in the top 10, it's going to be good. So I just stayed with my picks to the last few. I liked all my picks. They all ran pretty good.
So going into day 2, being on top of the leaderboard, is that going to change your approach at all into day 2, or are you pretty much the same going in?
No, I play with conviction, I guess. I play what I like, and I don't care if it's 3-1, 30-1. As you can see from my plays today, anything from 4 to 5 up to 40 to 1.
Yep.
And that's how I play, and that's how I'm going to play tomorrow.
All right, well, good luck.
Yeah, congratulations, Steve Arison, our day 1 leader in the Flo-Cal Faceoff.
Thanks, guys.
And a special thanks to Steve Arison for taking time after the races to talk with us on that interview and give us some insights on how he goes about handicapping. And, Steve not having the best day, but he's still in 4th place, even not having a great day. Now, I thought that he even said if he finished like top 5, he'd be really happy. But as you can see, 188.40 without having a great day. And it shows you, Chris, that we really haven't had a whole lot of prices on day 2.
Yeah, there hasn't been big movement on the leaderboard, not a lot of opportunities. The players that have moved up have caught a few mid-price horses and have managed to pick a few more winners than everybody else. And I think that's sort of what they'll have to try to do with these last 3 races, although I do think there's a chance in this race for some price horses to come in. They're really betting heavily on the favorite, who I definitely think is a bit vulnerable in here. So it'll be interesting to discuss these horses in the context of the contest and see if we can come up with maybe some price plays that some of these contest players may land on and make a big move up the leaderboard.
Well, let's start off with the favorite. Get that out of the way. The 5-horse Virulent for trainer Phil D'Amato, who has a couple of fillies in this race. Virulent, one of 3 coming out of the Jimmy Durante Stakes at Del Mar in late November. And Virulent had some traffic, and right at the end, I thought showed a little bit of a burst. You still only finished 7th. But they put the blinkers on, first time Lasix, Prats aboard. So there is some things to like about Virulent, but from a contest perspective, 6 to 5 is a tough price to swallow if you're going to click the 5-horse in this third to last contest race.
Yeah, or even a betting perspective. I mean, you're betting all off on potential and not really demonstrated ability. The horse did have trouble, but it's never really run fast. Its one European race wasn't that impressive. I don't get it. I think even money's a terrible price. Flavian Pratt has proved me wrong a few times, including once yesterday on a horse like this. But, from a betting perspective, from a contest perspective, I think you take a stand against this horse for sure. And that creates opportunities elsewhere on the board from a betting standpoint or from a contest standpoint.
A lot of early money coming in on the 2-horse Rock the Bells for trainer Luis Mendez. Shipped over to Phoenix and ran at Turf Paradise in a little stakes race. And I watched that race back, and this filly broke well, but then dropped back, and the horse that finished second the race opened up a big lead, cut the corner at the top of the stretch, and looked like she was going to be home. But Rock the Bells came and ran her down in the last 70 yards to get up for the win. Doesn't have a turf win as of yet. That's, I guess, the question mark. But a lot of bettors seem to like her. Currently at 2-1, though I do think that price will drift up a bit.
Yeah, let me check the projected odds on Formulator. That horse is projected to float up to like 5 or 6 to 1. And that seems like a reasonable price for that horse. Does have a good race over synthetic, so a lot of times that translates to the turf. I wouldn't knock that play. I think, if it stayed at close to 5 to 2, I wouldn't be playing that horse. But if it does float up to the 5 to 1, 6 to 1, that's a playable horse. I wouldn't talk anybody out of that one in the contest if, that was going to help move them in a position to cash or win. Why not?
Well, let's move up in terms of price horses. The one horse, Liam's Dove, had the lead in the Jimmy Durante Stakes, but that was going a route of ground. We're only going 6 furlongs in this race. Do you think that she is going to be an effective turf sprinter, or you think that she's more of a route horse?
Well, routers cutting back are not necessarily bad at this distance. It does show early speed. The only problem with these front runners that cut back is sometimes in these turf sprints, they find themselves much farther back than they're used to. And, from a horse comfort standpoint, being down on the rail, that might not be the best of trips for this horse. So at a short price, it's 5 to 1 right now, but it's projected to drop down. It was 5 to 2 on the morning line. To me, that one's kind of an underlay. I would look elsewhere probably. I don't think that's a good value either from betting or in the contest.
Well, we've got a Euro import, the second of 2 fillies in here for Phil D'Amato, the 6-horse Impeached Alexander. Broke the maiden in Ireland at Cork. Last time out, showed some early speed. Got a little bit tired late. I didn't see a big excuse or anything like that. Was 4 to 1 the line. John White thought that this one would take a lot of money, but currently on the board at 13 to 1. Does that change of odds change your opinion if you liked her at all or didn't like her at all?
Yeah, I like this filly as kind of the other D'Amato because there's a little bit of hidden information, at least from many of the players. And that is if you use Timeform US, they have extended notes on the races. And they note that this horse bled from both nostrils after its race 2 back. So it's a confirmed bleeder. Those are the type, a lot of times they ship out to the US because they could show dramatic improvement with Lasix, and it gets Lasix. So that one's kind of interesting to me. You got a little hidden information there. And it's sort of the other D'Amato. I'm not that worried that they're betting the stablemate more because I think a lot of that's the Pratt money as much as the stable money. So, of those two, I'd be much more interested in Impeached Alexander the 6 than the 5 Virulente for sure.
Okay, so I've been around the game for a while, you as well, Chris, but I had to kind of look up where Gracelyn Gray, the 4-horse, raced her first couple of starts. Lethbridge in Canada. It's almost like a bull ring. She's won both of her races by 14 and by 23. I don't know who in the heck she beat, but she at least got some sort of decent speed figure. Do you give her any shot at all?
Absolutely. This is the horse I would be on. I'll bet this horse, and I would play this in the contest. It reminds me a lot of the horse that won the last race of the Flo-Cal last year at cap price. That horse shipped in from Mountaineer, had never been on the turf, had sort of okay turf breeding, but had showed speed, and the question was, how will it handle the class and the turf? And it got the lead and ended up winning the race. To me, this horse, it's been training well since it came over here. You don't know how good it is. It's not like it's bred like a cheap Canadian horse. It's well bred. It's golden sense out of a Tappet mare. There's no reason why it shouldn't be able to translate to the turf. It's got speed, and the reason you're getting a price is because of the obscure, Lethbridge Downs. Me being from the Pacific Northwest near the Canadian border, I'm not anti the Canadian tracks, and I think you're getting some value there. It will be tested, but this horse could be any kind. I mean, it just completely crushed. And what's interesting is it's won a stakes race and it can still run in here without a tag because the purses were so low for those races. So clearly it hasn't beaten anything, but I think there's talent there, and we'll find out how much. And at 10 or 15 to 1, this is your one chance, I think, on the card for the rest of the day of really getting a big price and moving up the leaderboard. So if I were in a position where I needed a big price, this would definitely be my horse. And I might even play it further up the leaderboard, just trying to make, a winning sort of move.
Yeah. The one thing I'll just add is she quartered well around those tight turns. So I don't think this turf sprint will prove to be that difficult. It's just a matter of whether or not she takes to the turf. I got about 2 minutes. Let's mention a couple others. The 8-horse half past 12. First trainer Steve Knapp ran into Jimmy Durante, kind of got caught in nowhere. First time going around a ground, didn't seem to take to the distance. She shortens back up to a sprint distance, but first time at a turf sprint. Currently a big price at 25 to 1. Give her any chance?
A puncher's chance. And if you're way down the leaderboard, you'll be on this horse. So, and it's not like it's totally impossible. So dirt, definitely, if you need a capper, you've got one chance, and this one is not an impossible horse. Other than that, I wouldn't be making this my play, but not impossible.
And then we've got the 3 baby steps in this 7 She's Bout a Mover. Both of these fillies have got some early speed. Baby Steps is one in a turf sprint, albeit a maiden. And She's Bout a Mover didn't run badly last time up at Golden Gate on synthetic. Like any of those two?
Yeah, I like them both. Baby Steps especially because she's only had the one turf start, and that was by far her best start. So. Right. To me, this is her second time turf. She could really run big. So, I like her quite a bit. After Graceland Gray, that might be the horse I like. And, her and then Impeach Alexander, those 3, I think, are the ones you're looking for a price. That's the way to go. She's Bout a Mover, not impossible either. I don't like her quite as much, but, not impossible.
They are at the gates for race number 7. Got races 7, 8, and 9. These are the final 3 races in the Flo-Cal Faceoff, a 2-day online handicapping tournament on HorseTourneys.com. $180,000 to the winners, 72 for second, 36 for third, 27 down for fourth, and it goes all the way down to 28th, where you will break even with your $1,500 if you paid the full price to get into this contest. Favorites is the 5 Verillant. Be interested to see what the contest leaders play in this 7th race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anybody goes with that heavy chalk. I get it because it's Pratt, but man, I have a hard time, me personally, playing a horse like that. But we'll see where they land. There are some options. I think this is the one chance to get a price in these last 3 races. So hopefully some of them will be aggressive, and maybe somebody, a few of these players will get lucky and make a big move.
Okay, last one is loading up, the 8 half past 12. It looks like they're loaded and they are off. And a good start for the 7 She's Bout a Mover and the 8 half past 12, both early speed horses.
Yeah, the leader went with Liam's Dove, the 1 horse, and the second place Impeached Alexander, and third Virulantes, the 4th She's Bout a Mover. So they're spread out in here. And for those who went with the 7 horse She's Bout a Mover, and there's 3 in the top 7, they should be pretty happy with her on the lead right now.
Looks like it's a pretty decent pace, up 22 for the first quarter. The 7 She's Bout a Mover's in front, still pressed by the 8. Here comes the Euro Invader, Impeached Alexander, 3 wide.
Yeah, that's the horse that won't be bleeding this time, hopefully, with the Lasix, and he's very dangerous. His stablemate's making the move on the outside as well as, and our 4 horse really running green down the lane doesn't look like he's going to get it done. But right now, the 8 horse is taking command.
Yeah, the 8
Half
horse
past
opening
12
up.
at a price.
Wow.
Here comes the 4, ran incredibly green and is going to get up for second, probably the best horse in the race.
Yep.
But the 8 horse, that's a price.
Oh, yes.
I'll have to check to see what price that horse went off at.
That's a camp horse.
That is going to make. Wow, what a way to start off. We thought this might, and plus the 4 horse running second will juice up the place price. So yeah, that was the one that everyone's going to be on that needs a cap horse. So that's the kind you dread when you're in the top of the leaderboard. And it's the kind of horse that drives people crazy who don't like contests, win place mythical formats, because in this small field, so many of the players were going to be on that horse.
And so go ahead.
On the leaderboard, let's just kind of check it out.
David Snyder.
Dave Snyder is the one who's going to benefit the most. He's going to be our new leader. Michael Chirello is going to be right behind him in second, only a few dollars back. Even going down to Thomas Kleschowski. Let's see, that'll move him right about into third or fourth. It'll be tight, but those 3 are going to be 2 of those at least will go past the current leader, and possibly 3 of them. And you'll have a bunch of other people. Let me just scroll down. If you scroll down a little farther, maybe even let's go to the second page of the leaderboard.
I saw Michael Solakis and 43rd had the 8. Stephen Thompson in 46th had the 8 as well.
Yeah, and we got several others. And then I'm not going to scroll down all the leaderboard, but probably near the bottom, you're going to have a lot of people on that horse. And what that doesn't, they're not going to win the contest, but they could cash in the top. How far does it go down to the top 28?
Yep.
So now a lot of people who thought they were completely out of it actually have a chance, if they can cash those last 2 races, maybe to cash in those top 28. So this is going to have a major impact on the leaderboard.
Yeah, and even if you're not going to be in the top, let's say 15 or something like that, we mentioned the day 2 money. So there's 12,500 for first, day 2, and if you had that 8 horse, which is the biggest price horse that we've had by far on day 2, that's going to go a long way to potentially for you cashing day 2 money. Top 4 in day 2 will get some day money. 12,500 for first, 7,500 for second, 3,750 for third, 1,250 for fourth. Want to mention that part as well. And if you're online, there's a link on the regular leaderboard that you can see how you're doing. It takes a couple minutes after it's official. It's not as instantaneous as it is on the regular Horse Tourneys leaderboard, if you will, but give it a couple minutes and then you'll see where you're at if you're playing along with us in this 2-day contest. Yeah, and surprisingly, it wasn't a total cap horse. Only paid $18 to place, which surprises me. It was a smaller field, but with the long shot in second, that's a little bit surprising. I'll tell you, just personally, that race hurt because I had a pretty good bet on the 4 horse, and I was live to some big daily doubles. And the horse was as green as grass down the stretch. It was definitely the best horse in the race. Well, that's one to keep an eye on going forward, though, Graceland Gray. That horse could be any kind. But congratulations, and I think now that's official. Yep, updated.
The leaderboard.
You see a lot of 8s.
A lot of 8s. Now, this is what in the contest, yes, Ocho's Wild. And you can see now at the leaderboard completely dominated. Guys like Yespe, who has been grinding away, doing great for almost 2 days. He's not out of it by any stretch, but now all of a sudden, and Aronson, our day 1 leader, took a hit. All the people at the top of the leaderboard have been kind of fortunate that we hadn't had prices. They're unfortunate here in that it's late in the day in a fairly small field. There was really only one big price, and you can see quite a few players took advantage of that. So now we've got some excitement heading into these last two races. That completely changed the complexion of the day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. $42, so it was a capper on the win, but as you mentioned, second paid $18. So still over $60 for the combined win and place total. And
Okay.
we're
Got
going to
the
get there
day
for
two.
day two in terms of the scoreboard. Takes a couple minutes
Yeah, I
to.
think, yeah, has it been refreshed? Yeah, it's up. It's current now. So now all of a sudden we've got some high scores. We were just barely over 100. Now we've got someone almost at 150, Mike Chiarello, who has, and Dave Snyder, who's on the lead for day overall, is now almost in the lead for day two. So look at that leaderboard. It's all eights. With one exception. Terry at number 10 is the one guy in the top 27 that didn't have the 8. So, that is one of the things that can be a little aggravating in this format, mythical win place. If you get long shots in the last few races, especially in small fields, can have a big impact, an oversized impact. I mean, that horse was what,
21 to 1. 21 to 1.
On the odds board, and you can see here it was probably more like 3 to 1 or 4 to 1 or 5 to 1 in the contest. So that's the nature of the game. And now for us, for you and I commentating, and for people following along, and all the other players who weren't at the top, it's become a lot more exciting for these last two races.
Yeah, so let's take a look at race number 8 from Santa Anita. It's a Calbred filly and mare race going a sprint distance of 6 furlongs. And I'm just glancing at the tote board. And right now, favorite at 6 to 5 is the 2-horse Smitten by Kitten. Trained by Mark Glatt, was a winner, showed improved early speed in her first start on dirt, and went off at a big price in that maiden win. But now that they know that she's a dirt horse, you get Flavian Pratt as well. So Smitten by Kitten is the favorite at even money right now. Chris, your thoughts on this filly?
Really similar to the last race with Virulente. Pratt's taking the money. I get it. This horse did show dramatic improvement, on the dirt. So even though based on the breeding, you wouldn't figure that, it does look like it liked the dirt. But that race, there was a speed bias. It had an easy lead. I think it was a little dressed up. So I really think this horse is overplayed and not the way to go in here. So I would steer clear of this one, even if I were at the top of the leaderboard. But and I do think it creates some value elsewhere. So I'm kind of against Smitten by Kitten, but I wouldn't be shocked. It repeats that last race, certainly could win. So I get it. I understand, why some of the players might gravitate towards that horse.
Yeah, and the filly that might go off as a favorite, I'll let you use the formulator and can tell me about in terms of what they think that these fillies are going to go off at. But the one I like the most, just on paper, now from a contest perspective, depending on where I'm at, I may or may not use this filly. I'm talking about the 5-horse Saturday Heist, who was a dominant winner 2 starts back in a starter allowance race at Los Al. Last time out showed speed in a turf race, and both of her turf races have not been good. They've been both off the board finishes. So I think the angle turf to dirt, the surface switch, on top of her last race on dirt being a winning one, is a couple of really nice factors going in her favor. The 5 Saturday Heist.
Yeah, and in fact, she is projected to go off as the favorite. Her dirt form's hard to knock. Her turf races aren't very good, but I would just kind of toss those and look at the dirt form. And like you said, the horse looks like the one to beat in here. So that one of those 2 favorites are, is the one I would lean towards. I'm not big on even money, but like if you look at the leaderboard right now, if you want winners at this point with 2 races to go, and if you're like David Snyder or Michael Cirillo, you don't want one of those two to have the winner that you don't have, right? Because it's a big advantage to have that lead going into the final race. So, if I were one of those two, I wouldn't fault them for going with Saturday Heist. I don't know if I would do that, but at least between those two we've talked about, I would lean towards Saturday Heist.
Yeah, I do too. Even though I don't mind the two Smitten by Kitten. Only thing I mentioned about her is, the second place horse from that race was the big favorite, 3-5 in that race that she won, and she came back to finally win a maiden race in mid-January. So Smitten by Kitten at least beat, I thought, a decent filly in that race, even though you mentioned that the track might have been speed favoring on that afternoon. So after that, then you got some price horses.
Yeah.
The 6 horse, Hot Rageous, showed high octane speed in a stakes race up north on synthetic at Golden Gate Fields, and then hit the proverbial wall and faded badly. Now she's in for 20,000. Trained by Richard Baltus, one of many in here that has got a lot of early speed. What do you think about her?
Yeah, I don't think she's as quick as Saturday Heist, and her dirt race wasn't very good. So
Yep.
There's some knocks there. I wouldn't say she couldn't win, but she's not a big price either. To me, that's an underlay. I think it's the connections that are getting bet, not the horse. And I just don't. I would look elsewhere from a contest perspective. But the horse it's not like the horse has no shot. I just don't think that's the play, given the price.
Fair enough. Only thing I would say is that the one dirt race, she didn't get off to a good start. Looks like tactical speed or being on the lead is what she needs to do. So if she broke better, I could maybe make the case. But Outrage is currently on the board at 7-1. Let's talk about the one horse. Lil Grazen was given a 7-2 morning line, currently on the board at 11-1. Got claimed out of her last race for $16,000. Now in the barn of Jonathan Wong. Jonathan does pretty good first off the claim, but she seems to might have some distance limitations. Do you like her or not?
Yeah, that morning line really threw me. When I saw that, I go, well, I can't believe he made this horse 7-2. It hasn't really run a good race in ages. I do get Wong, Jonathan Wong off the claim could move the horse up, but I don't get it. At the price it's at, it's not impossible because it's Jonathan Wong first off the claim, right? And 7-2, it looked like a terrible play at 8 or 10-1. Maybe it has a shot. But the morning line seemed kind of off, and it looks like it was. That really surprised me when I saw that. So, given that the price is not impossible, 8 or 10-1, if you're a Jonathan Wong fan, you think he can turn this horse around right off the claim, its best races could win, right? If it could.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. A hot pace and at going 6 furlongs may be stretching it, and especially with that rail draw is usually not a great draw unless you're just really quick. So, there are some negatives, but you're getting a price. So I'm never real negative when you're 8 or 10-1.
Yep. And that's one of the benefits of playing in a live contest as opposed to a pick and pray. You get to see where the money is potentially going to land and get a better idea of what the odds. That's always one of the things in pick and pray contests that I play in on Horse Tourneys. You get so frustrated when you got like a 15-1 shot that goes off at 4-1, 9-2, and even when that horse wins, you're like, you don't feel as bold as you would if you picked a horse that was at 15-1.
Yeah, I've heard people.
Let's talk about. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, some people. Sometimes there's chatter about morning lines and trying to fit in that. Some people waste too much time trying to figure out what the price is going to be on a horse. But if you're playing a contest like a pick and pray or a pick 6 or a pick 5, it's really an advantage to understand what the real price is going to be in spot bad morning lines. It can really help you. So it's not if all you're doing is betting to win in real time, probably doesn't matter a whole lot. You get to see the prices and make your determination based on that. But if you're playing in contests that make you put plays in advance, or if you are, doing parlay wagers, or it definitely helps to understand, what the actual off-time prices will be. There's some value in that.
I'm a little sensitive about morning lines because for the last few years, I did make the morning line at Indiana Grand, as well as being the track announcer there. So I get. I know that the job is kind of like of NFL offensive lineman. You don't notice him unless there's a holding call on him, and then you go, "Oh, that morning line stunk." But you can't be perfect in morning lines. It's a you just it's arbitrary on what one person's opinion of what the public's going to play, and this one looks like it might be a little bit off. But before we go over some of the other horses in this 8th race, we're going to throw it to an interview with the communications director of HorseTourneys.com, Eric Wing. The Flo-Cal Faceoff is upon us. It's the first big money online tournament for HorseTourneys.com in 2022, and we are pleased to welcome in Eric Wing, the communications director of HorseTourneys.com. Eric, how are you?
Doing great. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing fabulous. Well, tell me about the Flo-Cal Faceoff. I know it's a 2-day event, but tell me about the buy-in, the format, any other details that you wanted to share with everyone.
It's a $1,500 buy-in for this competition, in which players make mythical $2 win and play selections on one horse in every race of the Gulfstream and Santa Anita cards, both Saturday and Sunday. The scoring is quite simple. Whoever does the best wins the big money. And in this case, last year, the big money was $206,000 for Alan Levitt of Baltimore, Maryland. And for our later legs in what we call the Tourney Triple, we've got the Players' Championship on April 9th and 10th. That's a $2,000 buy-in. And the Sponsor Showdown in August, a $2,500 buy-in. And for those later two legs, in case people don't have $2,000 or $2,500 lying around under their sofa cushions, we run low-cost buy-ins all throughout the year. You can qualify for as little as $50 or $100. You don't have to be wealthy to find your way into this tournament, which is a nice thing. We like to make it open to as many people as possible.
Well, you also mentioned this is part of that triple, and there's a point system and some bonuses that could total over $1 million or more. So tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. Last year's Flo-Cal, for example, had a final purse of $570,000. The Sponsor Showdown it was the highest online purse ever at $640,000. But on top of that, we have a bonus system encompassing the three events. If you win all three, you get a $2 million bonus. If you win 2 out of the 3 legs, you get a $1 million bonus. And even if no one wins more than 1 leg of the Tourney Triple Series, we have 3 guaranteed bonus prizes. If you finish in the top 100 of any of the events, you get points. You get 100 points for finishing first, you get 1 point for finishing 100th, and so on down the line. And whoever has the most points will get both a BCBCC and an NHC seat. Second place in the point standings gets a Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seat, and third place earns a spot in the big one this coming September. So last year, for example, Anthony Matera finished third and earned $41,000 in the Flo-Cal Faceoff. He continued to do well in the next 2 legs, and he wound up being the points leader and got that BCBC and NHC seat for doing best overall during the course of the 2021 Tourney Triple.
Wow. So a lot of big money is on the line. Thanks so much, Eric, for taking the time. And we're looking forward to a big Flo-Cal Faceoff here on HorseTourneys.com.
I'm looking forward to it too, Bill. Thanks very much for having me on.
Thanks, Eric. We've got about 7 or 8 minutes to post before this 8th race, the penultimate race in the Flo-Cal Faceoff. And we haven't hit on a trio of runners left in this race. The 7-horse, Wish They All Could Be, is an interesting long shot. If I needed a price horse, she would be one I'd be seriously considering. She runs off of a layoff, and she might have the right running style in a race loaded with speed.
Exactly. I mean, Mike Pipey has 2 horses in here, the 4 and the 7, both coming off layoffs, both coming from off the pace. And the two favorites might hook up. You know, we talked about Smitten by Kitten and Saturday Heist and even Hot Rageous. They could get into a bit of a duel. And if that race unfolds that way, it could set up for someone to come out of it. And I agree. 7 could be one of the ones to take advantage of that. And the 4 as well. They're both come from a barn that's not great necessarily off the layoff. Typically, actually, Pipey's better off longer layoffs than the shorter ones. So between those two, I might favor Shanghai Sunrise. Also, that one might have more upside because it's, you know, it hasn't raced since early as a 3-year-old. And also it looks pretty good before the race. So, you know, those two both live, I think, at a price in here. One's 10-1, one's 9-1. And if you're looking for an upsetter, it might be one of those two Pipey horses.
Okay. What type of trip do you think Shanghai Sunrise? Do you think she's going to send? You don't think she's quick enough to get the lead, or would it be beneficial for her to sit a little bit off the pace? The last time she won in her last dirt race, she led from gate to finish.
Yeah, I think they're going to have her settle in here. You never know what the connections are going to do or what, you know, the riders are going to do. But I think if they're trying to give her best chance to win, to me, that's what it is. You know, get her to settle and finish. You know, she has come from off of it before as well. She's won before from off the pace. I think that's the best trip for her. The time she won was just a really slow pace. I don't think she has enough speed to get the lead. Doesn't mean they might not try for it. I think that would be a mistake, though, if they do.
The one that we haven't mentioned yet is the 3-horse Mucha Woman for trainer Doug O'Neill, second last time out in a starter allowance race at Los Al. Generally, she likes to be within a length of the lead or on the lead in her last 6 or 7 races. Right now, big overlay off the morning line, though I was a little bit questioning how low the price was on her. The 3-horse Mucha Woman for O'Neill. Give her a shot.
I think she's one that's just not quick enough. I don't see a way the race will unfold that would give her a chance to, you know, win, because the front runners are, I just think, a little quicker and better. So I just don't see her winning. I think her price right now is probably about right. I think it was just a bad morning line that 4-1 she wasn't going to go off at 4-1. So I think she's about the right price. She's not impossible. I just don't see the race shape that would allow her to win.
Gotcha. While we got a couple minutes, we'll talk about strategy in just a moment. Just want to mention that this is the first event of the Tourney Triple on HorseTourneys.com. The second event is the Players Championship, April 9th and 10th. And then the third in the series will be the Spa and Surf Showdown. That's the contest with Del Mar and Saratoga. That'll be at some time in August. That's a contest I guess you like, Chris, is it not? Or is it?
No. Yeah, I like them all. I like them all.
You do. But let's talk about strategy.
All right.
The 8th race.
This is where it gets fun. Yeah.
All right. So we got the top 2 are within minuscule difference in terms of where they're at, you know, a couple dollars, whatever exactly it is. So they could very easily take either of these 2 favorites, the 2 Smitten by Kitten or the 5 Saturday Heist. I think you and I both agree of those 2, probably the 5 Saturday Heist we like a little bit more than the 2, though I don't mind the 2. As we talked about it in the past, but I am correct in that the 5 is the one that you think that of the 2 favorites that you prefer a little bit more.
Yeah, and you know, to me, those top 2 that have some separation and they're $12 ahead of everybody else, I think they're probably the only 2 that might be on one of those horses here. There could be an exception, though. I mean, if you look at the leaderboard, in 3rd place at 217 and 4th place 216, any winner at all would move you up a spot. And if we look at the prize money from 4th to 3rd, you go from 27 to 36,000. So some of these players may be content to move up, and not, without getting the lead, even if they do have a shot at it. But so even anybody in that, the top 4, I wouldn't be shocked if we see somebody go with one of those 2 favorites. I can kind of understand it more so with the people in the top 2 because, there's such a big difference between 180,000 and 72,000. You could be turning this even money or 2-to-1 shot into $180,000 horse. I get that. But once we get past those top 4, I think that they'll have to go beyond that and find somebody else to play in this race. So if you were one of those players, who would you go with after those top 2, Bill?
I'd be on the 7 horse. Wish they all could be. If we get the speed battle that I think we're going to get, I do think that she's got the best running style. It's been off since late September, and she didn't have a workout until December 6th. That really tells me something probably happened a little bit in the race. And so I'm willing to give that last race, I throw a line through the race. I'm really looking at the race 2 starts ago when she was second at Del Mar at a big price. And like I said, I think the race shape is going to help her out quite a bit. At 7-1, heck, if I really got bold, I might, even if I was in the top 2, I might even click on the 7. Wish they all could be.
Yeah, I would not argue that at all. To me, it would be either that horse. Yeah, somebody must be a Beach Boy fan that named that horse. Shanghai Sunrise would be the other. Those 2, which of those pipey horses will fire off the bench and get the trip? They seem like the price alternative, the best choice to go with. If I had to pick one, I would probably go with Shanghai Sunrise, but it's not much separates those in my mind. So either one seems like a logical and a good play. And I would expect to see quite a few 4s and 7s on that leaderboard when we refresh, after the race starts, which is not too far off here.
Yep, and they're all in the gates and they're off. Looks like a pretty good start. And it's at the NoCal, ran in that stakes race, a 6-horse Hot Rageous. And our second place, Michael is using Hot Rageous in this race, but the 3, Mucha Woman's on the front end.
Yeah, and our leader went with Saturday Heist, the horse we thought was the most likely winner. That's where we thought he might do that. It does look like a hot pace, and so we talked about who might take advantage of that. We'll see if somebody can. Right now.
The favorite, the 5 is 3 wide, the 7 is 4 wide, 3's trying to hold position as well as the 6.
The 4 and the 1 are loaded. They just don't have anywhere to go right now. So if one of those 2 can get through, they might be able to get the job done. Right now, they're just completely boxed. The 4's had a miserable trip, finally gets loose. 7 gets the jump on a stablemate.
And
it looks like it looks like the 7 and the 3 are battling out. Here comes the 2, smitten by Kitten, but it's too late.
There's the 7.
And there's the 7 horse. The kind of logical play that we thought we'd see a lot of those 7s on the board, and we did, and that
4th,
is going.
Thomas.
Yes, and what was the price on the 7 horse at post time there? Did you catch that? Let's take a look.
It was about 7-1.
6-1 is what I see right now. So at 6-1, that's probably about $18. That is going to create. That's a new leader. I think Thomas Kolchowski and John will be our new leader.
Yes. Yep.
And the
I think so as well.
Wait, and who ran second? Was it the 3 at 10?
It was a photo. It was a photo for second.
All right, we'll see who gets that. That will be a big photo if the 3 holds on. That's going to help, but I don't know. It kind of looks like the 2 might have got up. That'll hurt the place price on the 7. We'll see.
Yes.
That would be big if the 3 held on. We'll see.
If just watching the race live and catching it again, I would lean that the 2 got there. But here's the great view when they show this view right here.
But we've got the 7 in between the two horses.
True.
It does look like the 2 got it, though, off the bob.
Yeah.
So I think the 2, if they're so that'll hurt the place price a bit on the 7, but I still think Thomas Kolchowski, I don't know if Kolchowski, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I don't know Thomas, but we may get to know him very well if he can hold this lead for one more race. Right now, he's probably pretty nervous. That's assuming he's hasn't screamed himself hoarse down the stretch there.
The 2 did get second.
Okay. So that was big. We've had a lot of excitement here on these 2 races, Bill.
Yeah.
Lots of movement. And what looked like it could be dull, as racing often does, thrown us a curve and turned out to be really exciting, these 2 races.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the leaderboard. We had 5 of the top 14 use the 7-horse, Wish They All Could Be.
Which was the right play. I mean, we talked about it. 4, 7, that made a lot of sense in that position on the leaderboard. And the 5 was not a terrible play for Dave Snyder in the lead either. Didn't work out for him, but I get that. I'm not quite so sure about that 6 as a play, but if that was the opinion that Michael Ciarello had that, that was the most likely winner, that would make perfect sense as well. So good plays by the players are making tactically good decisions, and in this case, the ones who chose the 7, they owe Mike Pipey a beer for getting this horse ready off the bench. And
yeah, so it's official.
Okay. All right, the new leader with the new leaderboard, and there it is, $6 lead heading into the last race with $180,000 to the winner, and now it comes down to this final race.
Yeah, so Thomas Kolchowski has the lead, $237.60. David Snyder is behind by about $6.60. John Nichols right behind David by 40 cents in third. And Michael drops down to fourth, $229.40. Stephen Thompson, fifth, $219.80. Giuseppe Petrello had the lead earlier on the day, is at $217.10. Other names on the leaderboard that I recognize: Mark Bertolucci, one of the Bertolucci boys, moving up to top 8 at $210.80. And still, it's not a big field in this last race, but at least getting in within shouting distance. And even if you don't go for the win, there you can still move quite a bit up the leaderboard. And then our day 1 leader, Steve Arisons, had a tough day, has dropped down to 18th place at $188.40. But I'll tell you what, contests will always surprise you. Whenever you think it's just going to be a bunch of favorites, it turns out we've had some price horses these last couple of races, and we're setting ourselves up for a pretty good finish.
Yeah, and let's check out. Yeah, let's go ahead and check the day money as well. That probably was shaken up a bit. Now we had a lot of 8s as the last play on that. I imagine we'll see a lot of 7s now.
Yeah, and look at
Thomas. Yes,
having a good day.
Michael Ciarello's having a pretty, and Dave Snyder, all those guys.
They're all there
near the top. Yes, so they're all looking at a little extra money right now. They're probably thinking more about that $180,000.
Sure.
And some of these players, David Snyder has good contest player, John Nichols, Stephen Thompson, the Undertaker, makes a move. He's now in 5th place. He's a good contest player. So those are a couple of guys that I think are going to take a shot at winning this for sure. So it'll be real interesting to see what they go for in this last race.
Yeah.
Because there's no obvious, most likely winner, at least not in my mind. So they should get a decent price on whatever they like.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the numbers. Pretty much the top 4 could do whatever they want. Now, they could get blocked, but, it's really hard to kind of get into the mind of another horse player. It's not necessarily poker where you're directly interacting with people. You might know that a player might be, will choose a chalk horse right at the end, but there's not as much information as like poker in terms of getting into the minds of your opponent. So, it's just one of those things. You're going to have to make a decision, and if you're in fourth, you're Michael, you could go with anybody, but you also might get blocked as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if the top four, if they go outside, the top, 2 or 3 favorites, or will they go with a favorite such as Irish Heatwave? And really, it's anyone's race in that top 4. Then after that, then it gets a little more dicey because you're going to need at least $18 or so, about $18 or so, and have no one in front of you hit anything, first or second. And that's the formula that you got to take a look at. It's just simple math, but you're only down to a field of 7, so someone's going to hit something here in this last race.
Yeah, if you don't, this is a tight leaderboard, right? $6 separates first and second. A $1 second to third, 60 cents third to fourth. Those top 4 players, if they, you're going to have to hit the winner to win. Even if you're Thomas Klochowski, he's probably, with only 7 horses, somebody near him is going to have, even if it's the longest price on the board, they're probably someone close enough to win will have that. So he's got to hit the winner. So they're looking for who they think is the most likely winner. Sometimes in this situation, the leader will have enough of a lead where he can take certain horses off the board. So
right.
Let's say Thomas was $10 ahead. Well, there's 2 horses that are going to be 2 to 1 in here. The 2 and the 4, he basically has those in his pocket if he has a $10 lead, and he can play something else, and he'll win with either of those 2 and whoever he plays. But unfortunately for him, 2 to 1 shot could get him beat, right, if he doesn't have it. So
right.
he just has to pick who he likes and go with it. And like you said, after the top 4, if you want to crack the top 4, you've got to look for something beyond those, right? So,
most likely, yeah. I mean, if your goal is maybe clunk into fourth, but at
but
this
even
point,
that, you're pretty far behind, right?
Yeah, you gotta look outside the 2 and the 4, I think, and come up with something. And you might as well take a shot. It's most likely if you blank and the favorites hit, you're still gonna cash for a pretty good amount. 5th place is $22,500. 8th place is $11,250. So there's a decent money difference between 5th and 7th. But at this point, I know it's just a 7-horse field, but you probably could come up with somebody that you like a bit if the 2 or 4 was not your first choice, at least on paper.
I think for sure. So first of all, let's talk about the 2 and the 4. Between those 2, if you're looking for the most likely winner of the race, who do you think it is? I mean, if you're just trying to find that winner, who is it?
Well, the safer choice is Irish Heatwave, the 4, I think, because he's been around. He's a mainstay at these sort of races. He won last time out. His last race, he made an early move up the inside, got inside of Liberal, the 5-horse who's in this race, and was able to get up for the win. Constitutional Affair, the 2-horse, it's got a little bit more early speed. But Constitutional Affair, Chris, comes out of a couple of sprint races. And that race on December 27th, I thought was a little bit of a tiring turf course on that afternoon. The top 3 finishers in that race were the trailing 3 with 3 furlongs to go. So I think stretching out from a sprint to a route, Constitutional Affair, you might get your money's worth. I know you don't like speed on the turf going long, but I wanted to hear what you thought about the 2 Constitutional Affair.
Well, I think, his recent form's not great. If he could clear, he definitely could win. I do think from the rail, Johnny V might get aggressive on the 1-horse Fly to Mars.
Okay.
And I think that horse on the outside, they're putting blinkers on with some speed, and Kent DeSormo on Niles Channel, the 6 horse. So I think it's going to be an honest pace. To me, the 2 is just like the last couple races, Flavian Pratt. His horses could win, but they're just getting way over bet. I think from a value standpoint, they're going off at prices much lower than the chances of the horses winning. And it's mainly just because the faith they're putting in the rider. But the rider can't make the horse run faster. He certainly can give it its best chance to win. But, between those 2, I would favor Irish Heatwave. I think he's going to get enough speed. He has a pretty good rider in Rispoli as well. So unless Constitution Affair clears, and I'm not convinced he will, I would favor Irish Heatwave between those 2. And I think, again, the fact they're overbetting the Pratt horse, just like in the last 2 races, creates opportunities for the contest players and the bettors, and they've been able to cash in the last 2. Maybe Pratt will have the last word in here on the final race of the day, but I would probably go against him if I were in the contest.
Our producer Ryan told me that Thomas, this is his first time playing on HorseTourneys.com, and he's
beginner's luck, or is he just really good?
Yeah, probably really good, and that's music to HorseTourneys.com management, because anytime you get some new horse players, you always love to see them do well in a contest like this. But Constitutional Affair, I'm a little bit higher on Constitutional Affair than Chris is. You mentioned Irish Heatwave. He's just been very consistent as of late. He won his last race, got a decent trip, but Irish Heatwave is going to be it's going to be right there, I think, in the end. Let's talk about a few others in here. You mentioned the 1 horse. Fly to Mars. You think this one's going to show improved early speed? Was in contention last time out, but there was just a race that came off the turf,
right,
that's on the dirt. So I'm not really looking at that. 2 starts ago at Del Mar in a 25 claimer, chased a pretty darn fast pace, and then got a little bit tired in the late stages. But it sounds like you like him a little bit. Is that right?
At
a little
the
bit.
Price, I would pick him over the 2.
Okay.
To me, they're pretty similar, and actually, that horse had a little trouble. I thought in the 2 races back.
Yep.
So it kind of depends on these turf races always depend on trips and pace and but I think from the rail with Johnny V, he's not going to want to give up position. So it'll be interesting to see what those 2 top riders do on those 2 horses. I do think the pace will be honest, and it could set up for maybe a couple others to have a chance. So we talked about Irish Heatwave. I think there's some others at bigger prices that give some of these players some hope. At least I think they have a pretty good chance of winning. And to me, the number 1 on that list would be the 7 horse Fly Nightly.
Okay.
That's the Chicago shipper for Brittany Vandenberg, who she wins everywhere she goes, and she's had a couple starters. One had some trouble, the other ran a pretty good second. I think this horse fits, and I think it's one of the better closers in the race. Maybe not as good as, say, Irish Heatwave, but certainly has a chance, and that horse is going to be a big price. So that's one where if you're not in those top 4 and you're trying to win the contest, or you're farther down the leaderboard and you're trying to move up or cash, the 7 Fly Nightly is definitely one that I would consider.
Yes, Brittany Vandenberg, if you follow the Chicago circuit, did quite well up there. And she ran some horses down in Indiana as well. So I saw her at Indiana Grand when she ran some horses after the Arlington meet closed. Fly Nightly and Niles Channel come out of a race on November the 27th. Was the last time that Fly Nightly was on turf, and really wasn't that fast of a pace in that race at Hawthorne. And Fly Nightly kind of had to make a bit of a middle move, and then ran on evenly in the stretch to finish third. Niles Channel was on the pace, or right off the pace, I should say, and was able to only get beat by a head. but I thought that Fly Nightly from that race probably had a little bit more difficult of a trip than the 6 Niles Channel. Let's talk about the 6 Niles Channel. You mentioned the blinkers going back on, had them on for quite a bit, but took the blinkers off and then finished dead last. And now they put the blinkers back on. Do you think Kent's going to show speed in here or take back a little bit?
I would expect him to I don't know if he'll go for the lead, but I think he has to be aggressive if he wants to give the horse a chance to win. Of the two that came out of that common race, I do like Fly Nightly better. I did think that Niles Channel had the better trip, and I think the race shape will set up better for Fly Nightly than Niles Channel in here. But he's not impossible at another one at a big price that has a chance.
I thought the 5-horse Liberal, if I didn't have to use one of the favorites, if I was in the top 4, I don't know. I'd be going back and forth if I was going to use the 2 or the 4. But if I need a little bit of a price, the 5-horse Liberal, I thought last time out had a little bit more of a difficult trip than it looks like on paper. He was last turning for home. He was looking for some room in upper stretch, shifted outward a little bit, and then he had a little bit of a room in between horses, but the eventual winner was just ready to take off, and it would have been really difficult to go through that hole. And Liberal finished 5th in that race, but I thought that was not that bad of a race. And then he fits on form as well. 3 starts ago, finished 3rd behind Irish Heatwave. And Liberal, I thought, had some traffic issues in that race as well. So price-wise, Liberals, if I could use them at 5-1, that'd probably be my pick. It's just everything's all price dependent here. You got to take a look at where you're at the leaderboard and make decisions. But wanted to get your thoughts on the 5 Liberal.
No, I would echo everything you said. The other thing I like about it is a horse with a good finishing kick. And I think if you're going to upset in here, that's probably the way to do it. You're probably not going to outrun Constitution, Affair, and Fly to Mars on the front end.
Right.
The way to win this is to come from out of it. Although Irish Heatwaves is a legitimate closer as one of the favorites as well. But Liberal could do it with the right trip. I think it does have to improve to win. It's probably not run a race before that would beat like Irish Heatwave if he fires. But it has a license to improve, and it's going to be finishing. So, I'm not crazy about the price, but it is enough to move you up from that, second tier if you're outside the top 4. And if people like that horse, I wouldn't talk them out of it. Between that one and Fly Nightly, I would probably go with Fly Nightly just because the price is so much better. And I think they're pretty similar type horses. But certainly Liberal has a shot. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've not talked about one of the contenders in this race, and that's the 3-horse Happy. Finished 2nd last time out, but that was on dirt. The last turf race was in October. Didn't get a good position early on and kind of ran a nondescript 6, but did win on the turf going longer, 1 mile and an 1/8. Do you give this one any chance? He wasn't on my top 3.
I don't see it as hopeless by any stretch. To me, you take like a horse like Niles Channel. He's probably as good as Niles Channel. And the thing is, there's going to be a lot of people on this horse. It's the one big price, right? So, in the contest, anybody who needs a cap horse will be on this horse, and I think they have a fighting chance. They'll be happy if the horse manages to pull the upset. So not impossible. I don't think. I don't think he's a no-hoper. So it gives everybody out there in the contest, some hope that they might end up happy.
Yeah, that's what you're going to see. Especially as you get off the first page of the leaderboards, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th pages, you're going to see a lot of 3s, a lot of 6s, and a lot of 7s.
Yes,
that's for sure, because that's the only thing that's going to potentially, unless you're going for the day money, and then you got to take a look at that. I did want to mention one thing. I mentioned before about the Tourney Triple. This is the first of 3 events on HorseTourneys.com, but there's also a couple other things to talk about. Points. The top 100 finishers in each one of the tourney triple contests will receive points, 100 for first all the way down to 1 point for 100th. And the aggregate score from the three contests will get you spots in some big money tournaments. If you finish the best and get the highest point total, you'll receive a BCBC spot as well as an NHC spot, Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, and of course the big one in Las Vegas. Second will get a BCBC spot, and third place finisher in that points total will get a spot in the big one, which is a live tournament that HorseTourneys.com started a few years ago. And then also the winner of this contest, and that's going to take place in 5 minutes, if they were to sweep all three of the tourney triple contests, they would receive $2 million. And
that's a big if. That
right,
would be quite an accomplishment.
But if you get 2 or 3, you get $1 million. So you get two chances in essence for $1 million if you win this contest. So there's a lot on the line here in this final race, and we got about 5 minutes to race number 9. But
so let's play the game on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Now we're down to the last pick. The big money is on the line.
Yeah.
You are Thomas playing in his first horse tourneys contest with a chance to win $180,000, a good chance to win. All he has to do is pick the winner and he wins.
Yeah.
Probably, unless somebody plays a long shot right behind him and they run second. So who do you go with? Who's your pick on the top spot?
It's just one of those things. Irish Heatwave of the two favorites, I think, is more reliable than the two Constitutional Affair. The more I dug, the more I liked Constitutional Affair, but he's a horse that if he doesn't win, I don't think he's going to finish second in this race. Either he's able to dictate terms, and if not, if the 1 or the 6 press the pace a bit more and the fractions are fast, then then my confidence level goes down quite a bit. Yeah, I think you could tell that I do like the 5 Liberal, and that's the other thing there. I that might be one that if I got second, let's say I got second, if I'm Thomas, and Irish Heatwave wins and he goes off at 8-5 or something like that, that still might be able to not block all, wouldn't block David Snyder, but it could potentially, it gets really close. The math gets really close there. So if I was in the lead, I might even go with the 5 Liberal as my top pick, because it's just one of those races where it's all dependent on the price, and you have to play the hand that you're dealt. So everyone's got to go through that formula and figure out what risk they're willing to take. Do you go with a safe pick like Irish Heatwave, or you take a chance on a Constitutional Affair? Do you take a chance on the horse I like, Liberal, or one of the other horses after that? Fly to Mars is certainly a mid-price horse that has got a chance as well. Or you go with one of those 3 big long shots, 3, 6, or 7, which, like I said, I think you'll see. There'll be some people, even at first page of the leaderboard, the top 15, who certainly will take a swing and go for the win, because up top, $180,000, second $72,000.
Right. It's a top-heavy leaderboard, and some of these players are in it to win it. So they will be making plays that give them a shot to win, unless they get blocked. You did make a good point, though. Like, if you were to pick, say, Irish Heatwave and it runs second as the leader, and say David Snyder behind you went with Constitution Affair and it wins, you probably still hold on if you are Thomas with a second place finish, even if you don't have the winner. Same with Constitution Affair. So if I were him, I would probably go on with who I thought was the most likely winner. For me, it would be Irish Heatwave. I think he's kind of clearly just a notch better than these others. I think the race fits him. But, if his opinion was like yours about Constitution Affair, then that would be a good pick for him on top. Dave Snyder, he's got to worry a little bit about getting blocked, right? Because I would be anticipating that Thomas will go with one of those two. Now, if he really likes one of those two better than the other, I would just go with it and hope I don't get blocked. If he doesn't really like either one that much and there's somebody else he likes, maybe Fly to Mars or Fly Nightly for me would be the other two options, or Liberal. And maybe he goes with that one. That way he's less likely to be blocked and he still has a good chance to win. So that's probably the way I'd play it there. If for any of those top four, you know, as you go to 3 and 4, I'd be more and more inclined to go with more of the price because you're more likely to get blocked with, you know, one of those top 2 or 3 are probably going to have, you know, one of those, the top 2 horses. So that's kind of the way I'd go with it. And then for me, you know, Fly Nightly is the play if you're a little farther down the leaderboard and you want to win. If you're someone like Stephen Thompson, or maybe, could Stephen Thompson get there with Liberal? Is that?
It'd be about,
he might
about $20.
It would be close. I mean, so I would probably, you know, Fly Nightly to me is that the bigger price that you'd use. And I think you'll see quite a few Fly Nightlies, you know, from those 5th through 25th place, because that's sort of the horse that would give you a chance. The problem is a lot of people have it, and unless you're near the top, you'll probably get blocked. But they're getting ready to load up, and we're going to find out.
Let's get to the load here because the 4 Irish Heatwave is going into the gate. There's the 6. You know, 2 things to look at. I think at the start, see how Constitutional Affair breaks, and then we got to take a look at the leaderboard a couple seconds after the start to see where everyone is at. So here we go in the final race of the contest, and a pretty good start by a Constitutional Affair, and the leader went with the 7. Not yet.
No, we haven't got a refresh yet. We're
all right, but the 2 is on the lead. There we go. So the leader went with the 6. And David Snyder with the 2. John Nichols went with the 4 Irish Heatwave, and Michael went with the 5 Liberal. So we got some excitement here. All 4 are live here to potentially win this contest. And
it's interesting. No, there was no blocking until you got into the 6th place. Well, no, until the 5th place. So the top 4, they all got their horses. So if they can hit, they can win.
Yes, and Constitutional Affair is on the front end. You know, what you expect in a race like this, 23 2/5, and the 6 is sitting in 2nd.
Yeah, right now the 2's got the trip he wanted. And so, you know, that if I were David Snyder, I'd be pretty happy. Although he doesn't want that 6 horse to run 2nd because that might cost him
another
the win.
Thing. Yep,
right?
Exactly.
Yep. So if the 6 runs 1st or 2nd behind the 2, it may end up being Thomas holding on. Here comes the 4 horse, John Nichols, Irish Heatwave, making his 3 wide move. So they all have a chance here. Who's the best coming down the lane? And the 5's even in with Liberal. It's going to be close. The 4's making his run. The 2's digging in. It's coming down to the wire.
2.
The 5 making a late move.
2 wins.
Oh.
2 wins. Constitutional Affair.
David Snyder is going to win it. He's going to come out on top. What an exciting finish. All the top 4 contenders had a shot at the 180,000. Yes, the 2 horse got the trip that he needed. Johnny V, a little passive on the 1, didn't really go. And the 2 horse for David Snyder, he turns a horse that went off at about 2-1 into $180,000. That's pretty good. That's what contests will do.
I'm just looking at leaderboard on my tablet, and what did the final price? Was it 6 to 5?
Yeah, 6 to 5.
Okay, so that should be about $7 or so. Should get in front of Thomas, and then if the 5 gets 2nd, that's who.
That 2nd is a big because that's actually going to move him into 2nd place from 4th place, which is.
Well, I think it'll be 3rd because David's going to jump from 2nd to 1st. Thomas is going to be stuck at 237.60. It's just a matter of how big the price is.
Oh, you're right.
So
what did he go off? What did the 5 go off at?
Last I checked, it's 6-1.
All right, so that probably won't get him by. He'll probably end up 3rd. So he probably moved from he probably ended up just moving up the one spot. Then
Yeah.
it still is, $9,000. Yeah, $9,000.
Yeah. So the 2 was the favorite, 6-5, and there is the 5 getting second. And so, place price probably, around $6, I would guess, maybe a little bit less.
Maybe a little lower with the small field and the favorite.
Yeah, with 7-horse field, you're right.
But it's probably enough to move up definitely enough to move up a spot, not enough to move up past Thomas. So he'll move up one spot.
Yep, but the favorite,
big spot,
Constitutional Affair, wins the last race, and David Snyder, when it's made official, which I assume it will be because I didn't see anything happen. 2 was on the front end the entire way. It wasn't weaving in and out or anything like that. But favorite wins, Liberal getting second, which will help Michael Chiarello move up to third. Most likely, we'll see. Yeah, it looks like that will be the case. But a big performance by Constitutional Affair, who leads throughout in this 9th and final race at Santa Anita on a Sunday, and the final race in the Flo-Cal Faceoff.
Yeah, and Flavian Pratt got his revenge. Got his revenge on me for dissing his horses in the last 3 races. He got the one with the big money, and David Snyder was stuck with him, and it cashed in at $180,000. What a nice payday! What an exciting stretch run! All 4 of those guys at the top leaderboard had to be jumping out of their chairs, cheering their horse on. All right.
There it is.
The leaderboard.
80 cents.
Wow.
Whew. It's closer than we thought.
Yeah, it was close, but he got it barely.
Thank goodness.
Oh, man, that's what you call a tough beat for Thomas. He's, 80 cents from 180,000 paid. It cost him over $100,000, that 80 cents. That's inflation there. That's turning 80 cents into 80,000.
I'm just taking a look at it.
A good payday for him as well on his first Horse Tourneys contest.
You got that right. I'm just looking at his picks. He hit 3 winners of the last 4 races, including half past 12, as you would expect. That was the cap horse at 21 to 1 horse, but half past 12, obviously a key horse for many at the top of the leaderboard. And David Snyder takes home $180,000. Quite a payday for David. And on top of that, like I mentioned before, he's eligible for the bonus, $1 million, if he wins one of the final 2 Tourney Triple contests, the contest April 9th and 10th, the Players Championship, and then the Spawn Surf Showdown in August. Day 2 leaderboard. What happened there, Chris?
Okay, we'll get it. I can take a look. I don't think we've got it on the screen, but Thomas won the day money, so that was a consolation prize. Michael Chiarello was second, and he finished, I think, 3rd overall. Right? Is that right? Okay. Yeah, we're trying to get a hold of David, but he's getting lots of calls right now. We might not get through him.
So,
but he did have that really nice kind of bang finish right before that. Let me look at his
3 of the final 4 races he hit.
Yeah, and
he had the winner.
Big ones were the obvious. The big one for everybody, half past 12. But right before that, Del Mar Drama paid, got him 20 points. So he got, 80 points and, bang, 2 races at Santa Anita. That kind of made the day. And then, of course, the key to everything was Constitution Affair holding on, and that got him 80 cents past Thomas. And what was kind of neat was that those top 4 players that were all so close together, none of them got blocked. They all had a shot when they turned for home. They were all in contention, and only one of them could win. But I'm sure they all got a thrill, an adrenaline rush there that we all like to have as horse players and as contest players. So congratulations. So, Bill, the one kind of interesting play there was on the top of the leaderboard. Thomas went with Niles Channel,
Yep.
who, wasn't probably what most people think of as a top contender in there. And really all he needed was the winner. What do you think his thinking was there?
Well, he went with the long shot. So as you could tell, a lot of people behind him were using that 6. So if he had a reason to choose Niles Channel, then you go with it. Even if he would have chose Irish Heatwave, he wouldn't have gotten there either. So he blocked a lot of people, but he had to do with the price horse. And then David chose the winner. And, there was kind of like 2 horses you could have gone with at 2-1. And David went with the winner and Thomas went with the long shot. And lo and behold, Constitutional Affair went from gate to finish in front and gave David the win and $180,000.
Yeah, I would, I just think maybe he had a much stronger opinion about that horse than most did because, as tight as the leaderboard was with 4 people so close to him, I don't think he could really play the block. So I just think he must have really thought that horse was going to run well. It actually got a good trip, but that was the only kind of surprise in those top 4 picks. Yep. It was nice because the fact he did that meant that all 4 of them were live, right? So it made it exciting.
We mentioned the Tourney Triple. This was the first of 3 events in the Tourney Triple, and our next big money online tournament on HorseTourneys.com. The second leg of the Tourney Triple is the Players Championship, and that will be on April 9th and April 10th. And the final leg is the Spa and Surf Showdown sometime in August. I don't think they've finalize which weekend it's going to be, but it's going to be when it's Del Mar and Saratoga by definition. So sometime in August, whatever weekend they want to come up with, they'll do the final leg of the Tourney Triple. Chris, you got any final thoughts? I don't know if we're going to get David, so any final thoughts?
Unfortunately, we may not. Well, to me, this was a great contest. Horse Tourneys, they put on these contests. They give the players an opportunity from your man cave or your living room or whatever, a chance, to win $180,000 and bet on, some good racing. And it just goes to show you that even these small fields can make for some excitement in contest play. I did not anticipate that we would get the sort of action we did on the tote board. It made it exciting. We had lots of motion and movement on the leaderboard. It came down to 4 players, all with a really good shot. They all were live, turning for home. So, that's, to me, what makes contest play so fun. You've got all the handicapping that we love to do, but you also have that if you're competitive like I am, especially if you kind of grew up playing sports and coaching sports, you get a chance to compete, head-to-head with the other players. And also a chance to win big money. I mean, $500,000 went out to the players in this contest, and
I think it's going to wrap things up. So congratulations to David Snyder, a final score of $238.40, taking home the $180,000 first prize in the Flo-Cal Faceoff. So for Chris Larmey, this is Bill Downs. Want to thank everyone with HorseTourneys.com. We got Matt, Eric, and McKay, and of course our producer Ryan for doing a great job behind the scenes. So
yes. Great job behind.
And you ditto those thoughts, I'm sure, as well, Chris.
Yes.
So for Chris and myself, good night.